Hey everyone, how's it going? So what am I working on now? Well, I got that 85 F350, the one with the 4.9 inline 6 with the carburetor, the one that had a chewed through fuel line, the suction line. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the tune-up and I'm going to rebuild the carburetor. I'm not going to walk you through the entire tune-up process. You should know that stuff already. And if you need to know how to do it, there's plenty of other videos out there. So I'm just not going to walk you through that. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing and give you the basics of what I'm doing. All right, so let's take a look at what we got here. So here we have the 300 inline 6 or 4.9 liter. Here we have the ignition wires. Just going to take them all off. Here's the cap. The cap has these clips that hold it down on the side, and then you can lift the cap off. Now, what I usually do, in case I forget, I kind of make a diagram like this to show where the wires go. You can look this stuff up too. I actually remember this. I've done so many tune-ups on these over the years. I know where the wires are supposed to go. Just kind of stuck in my memory. So what I'm going to do is, let me pull all the wires off. I'm going to pull the tap and rotor off. But I'm going to pull the cap with the wires off in one shot. Let me show you here. Okay. And there we go. And as you can see, that is pretty well worn out. Okay, kind of as I expected. Whenever you pull wires off a coil, look to make sure you don't have any oil leaking out of the coil. We know the ignition system works because it does run, but a lot of times you'll get, as they break down over time, you'll get the oil that's inside the coil starts to leak out. If you got that, then just replace it. So here's your rotor. And yeah, it's pretty well worn. So all good stuff, we're replacing it. These are large spark plugs. I think these are 13/16 down there. Not very often that I use that spark plug socket. But let me dig that out. I'm going to show you just doing one, then I'm going to just do the rest. But I will go into detail on the carburetor itself. So let me just put you on a tripod and then you can watch me do one of the plugs. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to rip out one plug. And like I said, I think it's a 13/16. Yeah, it's a 13/16. There we got the plug out, and the plug actually doesn't look that bad. But considering the age in that, the customer decided, yeah, let's do the tune-up. But you can see it's all rusted up. But I mean, it's not terribly worn. But we're going to put a new set of plugs in it regardless. Like I said, just from age and everything else. You can tell they've been there a while, but they're not all that worn. So, okay, just going to get new plugs. These you can gap. You know, I've spoken about that before, about how you don't have to gap plugs anymore. You can give a visual and usually you're fine. These you can run a gapper through. These are old copper style spark plugs. So let me get the new plugs and let's get that going. Okay, so here we have the plugs, and I did already check them. They call for 44. And as you see, we're at about 45. It's perfect. If this thing was up at 50, I'd be okay with it. If it was down at 40, I'd be okay with it. It's not going to make all that much of a difference. Now these plugs, just going off the first one, is right at about 32, 33, something like that. Honestly, it'd probably run fine. You probably would never even notice. So anyway, I'm just going to put a touch of anti-seize on that. I'm going to change all those other plugs. And we'll just check the gap real quick on all the other ones once I get them out. Now, before we put that one spark plug in, here's one of the new ones. I wanted to show you this in comparison. This is a spark plug for a like a 5.3 liter, 4.853, 6 liter, 6.2. So look at the comparison size difference. Yeah, it's pretty drastic. But this is what Ford used to use. So all right, let's put this one in. I put a little dabble of anti-seize on there. It's just a drop. I know some people will be like, oh, you don't have to put anti-seize on, or anti-seize causes misfires. Well, it does if you don't know what you're doing. Like if you think you're basting a chicken leg or something like that with anti-seize, then yeah, you're gonna create a problem. But just a little dab is not gonna hurt anything. It's gonna help you. And here's another reason. Hold on. Let me get this one tight. Now there is, yes, a torque spec. There's a torque spec for everything. But you can feel that point where it stops, and that's where it stopped. And I'm just going to make it a little bit tighter, and then we're done. So what is it I wanted to say? Yes, I put a little dabble of anti-seize on there. The reason being because this is a tapered seat plug. This is what actually locks the plug in place. So I like to get a little bit of anti-seize that runs around the threads. This will run around the threads as I tighten it down. And this will also get onto this seat. The reason for that is trying to get the spark plug out at a later point in time. I had it happen on my own van. I made a video about it. It actually snapped the spark plug off, so it left the threaded portion inside the head. But I was able to get it out. But a little bit of anti-seize would have prevented that. So just a heads up. So let me get the rest of these plugs done, and we're going to take that carburetor off. Okay, one thing I wanted to show you here is when installing plugs, like you could use the socket. Sometimes you can't though. So I like to take a spark plug boot like this. I usually keep one in my toolbox just for this reason. This helps you start it. If you don't have a boot, you can use a piece of rubber hose or something like that. And then this way you can actually screw it in place. So just like that, get it all started. And then you finish it off with a ratchet. There, I felt it come to a stop. Just a little more. Now what I wanted to show you, as you saw me doing that, I actually cracked the spark plug. See that? I went to go install this, and I must have leaned down on the extension a little bit. And as I was tightening this up, all of a sudden I heard crack, and I was like, oh, dang it. I knew exactly what happened. So I pulled the plug out, and actually you can run your finger along that, and I can feel the sharp edge. So when I did feel that, I knew right away I cracked the spark plug. So obviously not installing that one. Got all the plugs in. Now we're going to put the cap, rotor, and wires on. So as it turns out, the cap and rotor that I got are wrong. I won't have the right ones till tomorrow morning. So I'm going to start with taking this carburetor off. I'm not going to show you the whole thing with pulling it off, but let me just give you a quick once over. So here it is. It's a one barrel F350. Think about that for a second. F350 dump body with a 4.9 liter stick shift and a one barrel carburetor. Talk about underpowered. Whew. Anyway, so let me show you here. Got the fuel line here, got a couple of vapor lines here, a couple of vacuum lines running underneath it, and you're gonna have the linkage on the other side. Then there's a hold down nut right there, and there should be one on this other side. So like I said, I'm not gonna walk you through this entire thing, but let me get this thing off of here, and we'll get it on a bench, and then we'll mess with it on the bench. We'll kind of clean it up and rebuild it. So in this video, in the beginning there, I was talking about pulling the cap and rotor off, and then I'm going to pull the carburetor off. I did pull the carburetor off. I rebuilt it. That's a separate video. I kind of didn't edit it smoothly together. So the next section of this video is basically going to be me starting with, hey, how's it going? What am I working on today? Because I kind of got scatterbrained, and anyway. So I'm editing it together. That's why I'm adding this right here, so you understand what's going on, so you're not like, what did I miss? You didn't miss anything. There's going to be another section coming up with me rebuilding the carburetor. If I put it all together, this thing be like a 4-hour long video. So I'm just kidding, not 4 hours, but it's going to be a very long video. So anyway, that's about it. Yeah, Meg's rose bush is looking pretty good. What you think? Looking nice. All right, let's continue this video. Hey everyone, how's it going? So what are we working on now? Well, we're back on that 85 F350. I got the carburetor built. There's another video for that. And I got it installed. I didn't bother showing you installing it. But I just want to show you. There it is. The choke itself, the actual electric portion at the back was not working. I did test it. It did not work. So I have a new one on its way. But I can install it and get this thing running without it. Let's see. Here is the new distributor cap. It's the Duralast. Anyway, so what we're going to do is, as you see, I already got all the plugs in. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on. Here's the rotor. Just look for the indexing. Usually where that notch is, it usually faces the front of the rotor. Oh, there we go. I'm going to put you in a holder here. So now the cap itself will lay on there. It only goes on in one direction. It has a notch here that should fit a notch in this extension piece here. If this didn't have that extension, there's still some kind of a centering notch, so you can only put them on one way. And this uses these clips, just like that. All right, let me go get the ignition wires. I do have my handy dandy little diagram here that I made so I can route the wires correctly. Let me dig out my wires and then we'll get that going. Alright, so let me see if I can't set up a light here to make things a little better. This might help, might not, I don't know. How's that? Did that help? Yeah, sure. Alright. So with the ignition wires, I just picked out all the ignition wires. Here's only 5 of them, but I'm just showing you. What I did was I picked out the shortest ones, and the shortest ones we're going to put at the center, because obviously they don't have to go as far to get to the distributor. And actually there was a choice on wires, one wire, and I think this is why. Because see how this is hitting that canister when you go there? So I think the reason for that is so you could use this wire that has an angled boot. And you push them down until you can feel them click. Now that one is going to be down here. So what I will do is I will route them later, but I just want to get them in place for now. That. Now I'm going to go with the next longest ones, which are these two. Get them in place. All right, so you get the general idea, because now I'm going to have to block the camera by putting this all together. With all the wires in place, except for the coil wire, I'm going to route the wires. Now there again, I really can't film it. I have no way of doing it without you just staring at my back. So let me get these run the way they're supposed to be run, and we're going to go from there. So there we go. Everything is run the way it's supposed to be. I was kind of concerned the way this one wire runs, and I was just afraid that it was going to arc out on the fuel line. Because anytime you have an ignition wire rubbing up on something that's metal, it will arc through eventually. So I did that. I put a piece of hose on that, put a piece of hose where it's rubbing up on another wire there just to keep it separated. I made wire looms to keep stuff separated. So for now, what we're going to do is I'm going to fill this carburetor up just with carburetor cleaner. So let me get this in there, as I know there's going to be a lot of background noise. All right, so that should be more than enough. I had that go. I probably filled the bowl up with that. Spray some of that in there. And as you see, I actually zip tied the choke wide open, so this way it doesn't accidentally close on me. So let's come over here. Oh, I got my other filler neck. I have to splice that in. Hello. There we go. That's the next project after this, I think. Shop project, that is. Alright. Let's see if this thing starts. Hold on, Rob's looking for me. Hang on. Alright. See what we got here. Okay, I'm happy with that. The choke is not working, so I know it's gonna be funky when it's cold. So, just feathering the throttle. Keep it running. If the choke works, I still have to adjust it and everything else, adjust the timing and whatnot. So, okay, I'm happy with that. And it's not misfiring, so that's a plus. Okay, I'm happy with the way it sounds for now. I still have fine adjustments to do, but at least it's up and running. Alright, I'm going to probably end this video there. I just want to get some temperature in it so I can get some temperature in it so I can change the oil too, because who knows how old the oil is in this thing. So I'm going to change the oil and I'm going to fix those fuel filler lines back there. I may have to splice them, and if I have to do that, I'm going to show you a trick. But I'd be willing to bet the timing in that as well on this thing. I don't know if it'll idle on its own. Probably not. No. I'll have to fix the choke and then go from there. Still waiting for it. It's going to be a while before I see it. So, all right. Not a super long video, but hopefully got something out of it. Where I made those wire loops out of zip ties, I will make another video. Like, I've done it before and I've showed you how to do it. I'll make another video showing you how to make those wire looms out of zip ties. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. You can do it with no problem. So, but I figured I'll show you. This way you have that little bit of knowledge in your cranium. All right. That's it, guys. Hopefully getting something out of my videos. If you are, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right. Have a great day. Keep wrenching. Oh, and one other thing. It's got over 4 gallons in it, and I still don't have a gauge, so I may look into that real quick and see what's going on there. Could be the sending unit. Could be broken wire. Who knows? I would think, though, I don't know why. I'm not sure how these work. Sometimes broken wire makes them go full. I don't know. We're going to find out.